Hello, it's time for really big calibers. I recently received a very large 1050 Ti from MSI with 300 watt power consumption. As Boris the Razor said, heavy is good. Heavy is reliable. Even if it burns out, you can still sit on one of these. You may have thought that I bought this GPU with my own money. At the time of the recording this video, it cost $2,000. Do you really think I'm that rich? Either miners or bourgeois can afford such a card. Unfortunately, I'm neither of them. I needed a powerful GPU to test the performance of the no less powerful Intel Xeon and asked anyone who was not a pity to send me such a card for a while for tests. In general, if not this man, this video wouldn't even exist. He even paid for the shipping at his own expense even though I didn't ask him to. Thank him very much for this. RX 6900 XT, 16GB of video memory in its pants. This is one of AMD's most powerful consumer graphics card at the moment. Rumor has it that this card is more powerful than RTX 3090 when overclocked. Of course I will not check it because I don't own this GPU, so only stock. We are talking about RTX off because with RTX on it's exactly twice as weak. Now let me tell you about all the difficulties I had when I tried to insert the card in my computer. As you can see, the card is quite large and weighs 1600 grams. And it's too long to fit in the case. The drive bays are a little bit in the way, so I decided to modify my case. Just a little. The drive bays will have to be amputated. Of course, I don't have many tools that fit, so I will use what I have. The case is old, heavy, and reliable like a Swiss watch. So cutting off unnecessary parts isn't easy. I was sweating while cutting this piece of metal, but as they say, if you work hard enough, you will get something. That wasn't enough, so I had to cut off the other half of the compartments. Of course, I don't have file to grind sharp corners, so I securely wrapped them with duct tape. But the difficulties didn't end there. The GPU is not easy to stick into the slot. I stick it in, but it doesn't want to be inserted. I've got high blood pressure, but somehow I got the card in. As you can see, the GPU is slightly loose in the slot, and if you put the computer upright, it can break the PCIe slot. With such fat graphics card, manufacturers put this iron in the kit, which is necessary to prevent the graphics card from falling out of the slot. This poker goes like this and is screwed to the case. The reference card has two 8-pin slots. This one has three 8-pin slots. Maybe because it has 3 Dragon Talismans from MSI on fans. Well, jokes aside, it's for overclocking. But I will not even try it and I don't really want to. This video card is so big that the disk moved to another place of residence away from the GPU. After installing the GPU, I noticed that it still sucks a bit. You can't see it well on camera, but I can see it with my dopey eyes. And I have this assumption why such powerful cards are haunted by chip failures. In addition to high temperatures, I think the weight and the bending of the card also plays not the least role in the process of breakage. Now the bend is quite small, but with time it may become bigger. Therefore, it's advisable to support the card with something else. Well, now it's perfect, at least this Nokia has come in handy somewhere. But now we can definitely start 4K gaming, but I was wondering what this card could do in the Full HD world. Of course, it can do everything. There is no sense in testing it in Full HD. I showed you this in the last video where I tested how well Intel Xeon will perform and pair with this GPU. Watch Dogs Legion, 4K resolution, absolutely everything is maxed out, plus RTX is enabled, and as a result we get very stable 20 to 25 frames. The game is very comfortable, I can't even drive normally. If you disable RTX, the game is transformed, in the sense that FPS grows to quite normal, playable 50 to 60 frames. When recording the gameplay with Radeon Relive, you can see logs for some reason. I recorded some games on camera and you can see that without RTX in 4K the game is more than playable. There are some micro freezes, but it's mostly the fault of the CPU, it's not the GPU's fault at all. It's been forced to work with an aged server CPU. Doom Eternal, settings absolute nightmare, 4K resolution, and here at these settings we see from 50 to 90 frames. Frame time graph isn't really smooth, but it's quite comfortable to play. I will repeat that the logs are only on the recording of the GPU. The same gameplay recorded on camera has no logs. Red Dead Redemption 2. Settings all manually set to maximum, and here I decided not to torture you with logs with the recording through the GPU, will only show you record from the camera. I don't know how it happened, but with such graphical settings my game produces only 30 frames. In other people's tests, this card shows about 50 frames in this game. Either they didn't have the maximum settings, or the matter is in the old version of the game, because I haven't updated my one since the time of Kiev and Rus. I don't think that the problem is in PCI Express version, like this GPU supports PCI Express 4, but I have only PCI Express 3. 16 lines of PCI Express are fully capable of realizing the full potential of this card, so it's either the game itself or very high graphical settings. Someone might think that this is the processor's fault, but it's not. If you watched my previous video, you know that the CPU in this game can deliver 120 frames, and as you can see, there is no difference between Vulkan and DirectX 12. God of War, the settings are maxed out, 4K resolution. And what I noticed is that the game is very CPU demanding. No, I mean, it's obviously GPU demanding too, but when you have such a powerful GPU in your computer, you don't really feel it. I saw a test on the internet in which a man ran this game on a regular GTX 1650 and turned on the maximum graphic settings, but not in 4K, in Full HD. And he had 8 stable frames of 8, and this GPU in 4K is able to produce sometimes under 80 frames. AMD has a counterpart of Nvidia's DLSS, which is called FSR. The principle of work is similar. By upscaling the low-resolution picture, it raises FPS in-game. And here are the results I came to using this technology. If we talk about 4K resolution, if you set the slider to the maximum quality and even just quality, the difference from the original picture is almost indistinguishable. But FPS increases by 15 to 20 frames, which is quite good. I really looked at the TV and didn't see any difference. But if we apply this technology on Full HD monitor, we will get a mess of pixels even on the maximum quality preset. It seems that this setting is only for 4K monitors. It's better to set lower settings than to cut the resolution in this way. Cyberpunk, absolutely everything is set on maximum, RTX on, and as a result I present you a wild slideshow in 15 frames per second on your screens. Yeah, same, this GPU is not for RTX in 4K on ultra settings. For some reason FSR doesn't work with RTX, so RTX off, and now it's only half that bad. We have 24 out of 30 frames, like in movies. Playing this way, if you have realized, is impossible, but now we have unlocked FSR, and here, as in God of War, which is obvious, the 4K pictures pulse imperceptibly, up to 60% reduction in resolution. But I, to be honest, didn't notice the difference between just reducing the resolution to 2K and using FSR. I don't know, maybe I'm blind already so I don't see it. Anyway, as you have seen, the GPU is insane. So far there is not a single game in the world that this card would not run at max settings in 4K. Well, there isn't. There are of course AAA projects that can exhaust this GPU. Without RTX it's capable of almost every game. With RTX you can play comfortably only in 2K, and for Full HD resolution this card is overkill. Even if it becomes cheaper, buying such a card for gaming if you have the same miserable monitor as me with 60Hz, it's insanely bad idea, and I'm probably saying obvious things now, but I know there is a small circle of people who like to buy so-called future-proof hardware. They say I will buy it now, it will work half-heartedly, and after some time when the games become more demanding my card will still handle them. Well, first of all, God bless it to live to the moment when it will be hard for it in Full HD. Also, by that time, some conditional RTX 5060 or RX 8600 will be equally or even better in games, meanwhile consuming 100 watts less. If only it was cheaper. For a 2K monitor, this GPU is great. After crypto fall, you go out on the street and there near the trash RTX 2060 is shining with its rays. It's shining, but nobody wants to take it. By the way, check my video about N50 Ti, where you will see how Chinese scammed me.